Today is Wednesday, December 20th, 2023. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is our recap of the Survivor 45 finale.
This episode's titled Living the Survivor Dream. That was spoken by Dee. We have arrived at the end.
We have.
Yes.
Probst started out by speculating whether or not the final five can separate the personal from the game.
Yep.
That they were really big on relationships this season.
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of said that, before they did a recap.
Yeah, he did that as a preface for the Previously on Survivor. He was kind of setting the stage for the finale. 2 immunity challenges, 2 tribal councils, and then the final tribal council.
And they're going to start over at the new island.
Yes, after tribal council, night 23, they arrive at their new beach and grab a torch.
It was pretty well lit.
Yes.
All the torches out there.
Those big old torches, yeah.
That must have been cool coming in, on the boat, looking at all those torches up there.
Yeah, maybe they could see them. I don't know.
Oh, I would think so.
I imagine that the boat they're on has lights, too, so it's not like they're floating around in the dark out there.
You could see that from a long way away.
Yeah, if they landed there, you're right. Absolutely.
Don't ruin that was so cool.
So cool. Agree.
I could see it from out in the ocean.
Final five like their new camp. You could see their pot was there, so I guess they brought some of their supplies over. They didn't have to worry about carrying them. And Austin is eager for a debrief.
Yeah, he was completely blindsided.
First time he says that he did not know.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That should have made him kind of nervous, huh?
We have a volunteer. Dee says that she will debrief him down at the beach.
Like that fooled anyone.
And she promptly apologizes for voting Drew out, having that happen.
He really took it well. I mean, it's not like
no hard feelings.
Hadn't already been thinking on the way back because, and there's no need in blowing up his game by getting angry and having a hissy fit.
Yeah,
so,
he was convincing, regardless of what his inner state might have been, he certainly convinced Dee. Dee knew there was an imbalance with how the Julie thing was handled versus how the Drew thing was handled, but she was impressed that Austin took it so well. Even gave him a hug and offered to stay out there longer on the beach with him.
Yep.
Cut back to camp. Julie's asking Couture and Jake, should we interrupt them? Couture says, interrupt them? How about we vote her out? I liked her plan. How did we let this pair get this far with the lack of recognition?
She seemed really angry at herself for that.
Yeah. Later, everybody's going to take credit for knowing that it was happening, but
everybody
at this point,
kind of did.
At this point, she did seem genuinely upset, although she had watched them hold hands on the reward challenge that she was on the day before. So,
but now they're too tight. They're just too tight.
Everybody's down on the beach watching the sunrise the next morning, and Jake spots a box out on the beach. So it was an opportunity to get an advantage. We've seen him do this for all the 41 through 45, some kind of advantage challenge. This time it wasn't a word scramble. They had 3 different stations they had to visit. One had crabs in it, another had coconuts, and another was a stack of bamboo, and you had to count each item, and then you would input that into the box to potentially release the advantage. Classic combination lock type scenario.
Which was made more difficult because of the way everything was stacked on each other. It's very hard to count it accurately.
Live crabs and a large volume, 18 crabs and 43 coconuts, I believe was the actual count. And I forget how many bamboo there was. The thing that really made it difficult was those 3 stations with the 3 items were far apart from each other.
Yeah.
And you could only try once. And then if you got it wrong, got the combination wrong, you had to go back and revisit all 3 stations.
Before you could try again.
Each time before you could try again.
Yeah.
But Jake had the code. He had a mnemonic. So he matched the numbers to the winner for that corresponding Survivor season. And his...
well, and at least he got it right, so...
Yeah, JT, Gabler, and Denise. He took his time, and he was able to gain an advantage. And I don't think those advantages have been significant at all in the history of having these advantages.
Well, and
But he's got it, so good on Jake.
Dee and Austin were helping each other.
And still couldn't get it right.
Together and still... Well, he said... He got 42. She said, I got 43. She recounted and got 42, but it was 43.
So he messed her up.
So,
Yeah. Yep. That did not benefit them.
And then she messed up. So
there we go. So off to the immunity challenge here, the final 5 immunity challenge on day 24. They're going to have to crawl under an obstacle, dig up a machete, take the machete, cut a rope. The rope drops sandbags. They throw sandbags into these baskets, 3 different baskets. And once they get those baskets, get enough sandbags in there, they tip and reveal a number for a combination lock, like they were just dealing with. And then once they get that done, they climb up another obstacle up top and solve one of those 3-tier puzzles. We've seen this many times where you have these cylindrical blocks of varying heights, but you got to stack them in a way so that there's equal height for the 3 different layers. 3 bags of pieces. That does make it somewhat easier, so you only have to deal with the pieces for each individual layer at a time. But you've got to stack them in such a way that you can then lay a plate on top of them without it moving.
But the most important thing.
Reward. Steak.
Is the winner gets steak.
Baked potato.
Dessert.
Wine. Yes, at the sanctuary where mediocre things happen. And Jake's advantage is... He's already got 2 of the numbers for the combination.
His $1 million advantage.
Yeah.
As he's called it.
So he's just going to have to throw sandbags into one basket to reveal the
Well, that was
number.
great.
Yeah.
Because Julie got really hung up on it. Couldn't get it in there for a while. So that was a good advantage.
Yep, it did help. And he was first away from that. And promptly, in what's going to be a series of things here, he promptly forgets to take the key with him. So he gets all the way up to the top where the puzzle
Runs
is.
up there, climbs up, gets
as Austin
up there.
passes him with his key.
Yep, as he's coming down.
To retrieve the one that he left because he didn't pay attention.
Boom, behind again.
Yes.
Austin
but he catches back
started
up.
first. Yeah, he did. But just think, he might have won had he not had to go back. And if he hadn't, misplaced the piece.
Right. In this next part, he gets stuck because he loses a piece. They both are able to get the first level done.
Right there within. He just couldn't. I guess he just was so focused.
He didn't change his point of reference that would give him an opportunity to see it.
Yep.
Yeah. So it was pretty much just them. The other folks did eventually show up, but it was really only a race between Austin and Jake blew it.
Yeah, when Jeff stops talking about you, you're probably out of the running.
Yep. So Austin wins Final 5 immunity.
And I wondered if Jeff would, but he did go over and show Jake.
Salt in the wounds.
Yeah. He could have just let it go and let Jake not
see it on the episode tonight. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah. But he points it out.
But I was a little bit surprised. I actually thought he was going to take Dee, and then he chose. And he had good reason to take Jake.
I don't know if that's actually the case.
I thought so. I thought he could,
Well, the reason he said out loud, I didn't necessarily believe, because he said he hadn't been on any rewards. And
I didn't believe
you guys were just eating hamburgers and hot dogs together when Drew won just a couple days ago.
Yeah,
so not sure where. So maybe he hadn't been on as many rewards as other people.
No, I don't think he had.
Maybe that's what it really was.
But again, no, it wasn't. It's what he said over there, which we'll get to. But.
Yep.
It was strategy. At least he was thinking strategy, so that's a good thing. But Jake gets to go, and I'm sure he didn't care why he took him.
Jake tells us we get a quick confessional from him before they go to commercial, and he says that missing piece is like a metaphor for his game. He's still searching for a significant piece, some element of his game that he'll be able to celebrate, but it continues to elude poor Jake.
I cannot blame him for just getting so frustrated.
Yeah, that has been his whole game. He's been playing without any advantage, any benefit of a functional alliance.
I wonder if he's going to have PTSD after this. From I don't know how he's going to get it all out of his head.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay, back at camp, still on day 24.
Katura does not hesitate the minute Dee walks away.
Yep.
To tell John, we got to get Dee out.
Yes. Julie's not having it. She does her classic little pause and says, well, I think there are more numbers for Jake. I'd really like to get Jake out.
Yeah.
He was trying to get me.
Yeah, her and Austin are too close, but I don't trust Jake. I thought, no, she is still holding on.
Yep.
She matches Bruce in holding
grudges.
a grudge.
Yeah.
So she doesn't care. She wants Jake out, and Katura's like, okay.
Julie tells us in a quick confessional that she needs to show the loyalty back to Dee. And Katura, she pivots. And we see Dee and Julie and Katura together, and they agree to vote Jake out. Dee's thrilled. She said, yep, it's easy. Plus, Dee says he's good at fire making. In her mind, Jake was good at fire making, so it was to their advantage to get rid of him.
And then we're over at the sanctuary.
Wait. I just want to say one thing, though. Because Dee says that she's a little concerned that Jake might get close to Austin, and Katura, without missing a beat, says, well, I don't think Jake's going to get as close to him as you are, Dee, so there's really nothing to worry about. That's a nice little jab.
Yep.
Yes, okay. To the sanctuary for a reward.
Austin tells Jake he's worried about Julie having an idol. Yeah, sure, we can get Julie out. I'm worried about her having an idol. Jake's like, no, she don't have it. I do.
And just before he said that was the part where he explained what you had said before, that he brought Jake because he was hoping Jake would spill some secrets.
And bam.
Yes, right there. Less than 60 seconds. Secrets out. I've got an idol. He was just busting, waiting to tell him. Couldn't wait to tell him, I mean.
Yep, and of course, Austin went right back, immediately told Dee.
Yeah.
And they pivoted. It's like, oh, well, if he's got an idol, then we'll vote out Katura.
Katura.
Okay, no problem. Thanks, Jake.
Cut to Jake telling Katura, I have an idol. And Katura jumped on it. She said, this is fantastic. We can send Dee home. And she lays out the plan. And you can see Jake's conflicted. He hadn't considered it.
No, because he told Austin, we're voting Julie.
Right. And he hadn't considered this other thing. And he's like, well, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. And maybe it'll let him do something flashy, he tells us.
I don't know that Jake really had noticed how close Austin and Dee were.
I doubt it.
I don't think he was focused on that.
Detail is not his strong suit, it seems like.
Which is funny since he's an attorney. But, okay. Dee tells Julie then to vote for Katura. And she was like, no, I'm voting for Julie. She's like, but he has an idol.
I don't believe him, Julie says.
No, don't believe him.
It's
He's
fake.
lying.
It's a fake idol.
I'm going to vote for Jake.
Yes.
She voting for Jake. Don't care.
Okay, now we see Dee talking to Austin. They're circling back, trying to figure out what to do. Katura or Julie, Austin asks, and Dee says, well, I prefer not to write Julie's name. I'm going to write Katura. But she says that she supports and understands whatever path Austin chooses to take, whether he votes for Julie or Katura.
Well, Austin was thinking, because he said, but Julie's got more friends on the jury. So he was thinking that through from his perspective. And they seem to be okay that she's like, okay, well, I support you, but I won't vote for Julie.
Cutting back to Katura and Jake, they're focused on getting rid of Dee, and Katura has Jake swear on Nana.
Because she does not trust you, Jake. Completely, totally does not trust you.
Okay, we're off to the final 5 tribal council.
Because he's an attorney.
On night 24. See Drew smiling when Austin comes in with the immunity necklace on.
I really thought Dee was gone.
And Probst recounts Jake's failures. for the jury.
Well, even the
And
way he
asked
said
Jake,
it.
how does that feel?
Jake won an advantage, which you squandered.
Yes.
It's like,
And then he missed the piece, which caused him to lose.
Yeah.
And Jake tells him, well, I'm not dwelling on it.
well,
because
thanks, Jeff, for sharing that.
Yeah.
Now I don't have to say it. But I liked how he responded. Just said, look, I'm not going to dwell on it. I missed the puzzle piece. Okay, fine, moving on. Julie really thought she was going to win the advantage, and she thought she needed it.
win the immunity. Yeah. She talks about how she
Everybody needed it.
woke up all excited and pumped up and thought she was going to nail it. Yes.
Couture said, well, she had a 25% chance to go home.
All threats are viable. Yes.
And Jake shares his thoughts about this game being numbers versus relationships.
Always both, he says. It's always both.
Yep.
And as they go up to vote, they show Katura saying that she's changing her vote. And I'm
We were
thinking,
like,
who
who's
is she
she
talking to?
voting for?
Because she told Julie and
Well, she's
Dee
talking
one
out
thing,
loud, yeah.
and then she told Jake another thing. And so who is it exactly?
Well, I took it to mean she wasn't voting for Dee, and that because her real agreement was with Jake to take out Dee. The other wasn't real, but that was supposedly real. But I don't know what really spooked her so much that she didn't.
Yeah, they try to make
Stick
her
with
story
it.
overall, her arc in the season about facing fears, but definitely she got cold feet and some fear, and she switched her vote. Kelly was excited. Are they going to take Dee out? You see her say in the jury, is Dee going?
She would have been had they
So Jake
followed through.
shares his idol, gets the big reaction from the jury he was hoping for, all the big O faces, and then plays it for Katura.
Well, and I believe Katura thought she was going home and everybody was playing, putting her name down. Everyone, probably even Jake. And so, but I still don't understand how she thought that was going to help her in any way to change from, I guess because she thought Austin would vote. Because they said Austin was, Jake told her Austin was voting for Julie. I guess that's why, is that she thought, well, at least maybe there'd be 2 votes on somebody else and maybe somebody vote with them. So that I guess that's what she was shooting for.
I don't know, but Katura basically managed to mess things up on the same level. She pulled a Jake.
Because Dee would have gone home, wouldn't she?
Yeah.
No, yeah, she would have, because it would have just been a vote from Austin.
So we see Katura get a vote, which didn't count because of the idol, and that ends up being a big nothing burger, which we expected Jake to deliver. Jake got a vote. Dee got a vote. Julie gets 2. Julie's gone. And she stops to say to Katura that you should go to law school. She wanted to give her some encouraging words.
Yeah, I thought, what if she here? She's already an attorney and has been for longer than Julie has. But, and of course, Jake reacted so much about her.
Yeah.
You made me swear on my Nana.
Oh, Nana, what the heck?
It's like,
Julie, we get some quick words from Julie. She said her biggest fear was being first out, but she ends up being the last voted out. So she's pretty happy with that in the scheme of things and all the experience she got to have. Back at camp on night 24, Jake outs Katura, so they have a little back and forth here.
Yep. Well, yeah, I thought, why are they arguing right in front of Dee and Austin?
Yeah.
That made no sense at all. Oh, we were going to target Dee. Oh, well, I'm glad Dee's glad to know you're targeting her.
Yep. And Katura, because I guess Jake wanted Dee to know that Katura was going to do that. Mm-hmm. And Katura said, well, I just can't trust you, Jake.
Yep, have no trust
Why
in
didn't you tell me you were going to save me?
Well,
Some of this is on you.
Why didn't you tell me that before I used my idol for you?
Yeah.
And her thing was, you didn't tell me you were going to use it for me. Why didn't you tell me? It's like, well, I thought, no matter what happens, stop airing your laundry in front of the other 2.
All right, boom. We are on to the Final 4 Immunity Challenge. It's a classic. Probst hits them with the Welcome Warriors when they come in.
These make me nervous.
The bowl stacking. Yes, it's designed to make everybody nervous.
Yeah.
17 bowls they have to stack. And the platform they have to stack it on is linked to the net that they have to navigate to step through on their way to get to the bowls.
That's quite the contraption.
And there's certainly, we've seen a lot of history with these where someone will be way out in the lead and then they'll lose it and then someone else, and it goes back and forth. And sometimes these things can just go on and on and on as the bowls end up tumbling over and everybody's restarting.
She never did drop, did she?
No, she didn't. She's Probst
wait a
called her
minute.
out.
No,
Probst
did
called
she
her
drop the first
No.
one?
Probst called her out for doing a perfect stack. Jake was right there with her, right up to 13, 12 or 13. Yeah, he had a big wobble at 12, and then he ends up dropping when he's bringing 13 out. And so Dee was already on her 14th at that point. She had 3 more to do.
Austin had 7, and then he dropped. And Katura had 11 when she dropped.
And Jake's not paying any attention. Probst tells him, don't break the challenge. If you break it, you're out. And Jake was just really bulling a china shop. He didn't care.
Stomping on it.
Yeah. He was frustrated and taking it out on the challenge, broke it, and completely ruined his chances at being able to win the challenge.
Yep, and Jeff had no pity for him.
Okay,
Dee
secured her 3rd individual immunity win.
Good on her.
Jake tells us in a quick confessional that he's still going. In spite of everything, he doesn't have a snowball's chance, but he's going to keep rolling the little snowball that he's got. He just tells us you got to work with what you got, which is absolutely a fundamental in terms of your ability to play Survivor. You have to recognize that fundamental principle and stick with that.
Well, this is the first place Dee talked about the American dream, that every time she was in a challenge, she thought about her family and the American dream, and that kept her going. Okay, they get back to camp. Dee knows she needs to listen to everyone, let them pitch to her. And Jake went first, and right up front, don't take me. I need to do something for me.
Yep.
You know, that was really eating him up.
Yeah, well, he knew he needed something, so he wanted to make fire. He wanted to be in that. So good on him, and she gave him a hug.
Said, okay.
You're in.
You're in. You can make fire.
Talk to Katura. What did you think about what she said to Katura?
It surprised me that she was scared to take Katura, that she speaks very well. We hadn't seen them talk about that kind of thing, and that she thought Katura did have a chance to win.
Katura really got shafted by the edit. Of course, the whole season. You didn't get any, because she had that one note
because
edit.
her end story, they didn't give her all of her
You didn't get to see, you just didn't get to see any of her social acumen. And you can tell that Dee had some legitimate concern, so she's like, go work on your fire.
Well, yeah. And so Dee had already made up her mind to take Austin anyway.
Austin told her that he wanted to make fire.
Too bad. But he knew why she didn't.
Yeah, sure.
He wasn't naive about that.
So he pivots, well, maybe I'll go help Jake. So that's the best thing, is to have Jake be there.
Well, that's hopeless.
Yeah, it turns out watching Jake, he realized Jake wasn't that good at making fire. He was really struggling. And he did spend some time with him, helped him. So much like what we saw last season when
Carson did help in the long run.
When Carson fell apart.
Yeah. But he was right when he went back and asked Dee, he's like, look, Jake's not as good as I thought he was. Why don't you let me do the fire, and so that we can get Katura out?
Yep.
And she's like, no, I don't want to add anything to his resume. And I wonder now, it was such a close vote that I really wonder if it would have made a difference if he had taken himself to the final by winning the challenge.
Yeah, it does make a difference. I think a lot of people don't believe it makes a difference. I believe it does.
Yeah.
And I'll point out exactly why that is when we get there.
All right, night 25, Tribal Council.
Jury's impressed with Dee on her 3rd win.
I don't think Katura appreciated Dee saying, well, we had an open and honest communication. She seemed to react to that, open and honest convo, huh?
Yeah. Well, it gave it gave Katura the opportunity to talk to the jury a little.
Yep, say, she's afraid of me.
She's not comfortable with me in the final 3.
Says I speak well, and she doesn't want to take me.
And that she certainly had mixed feelings about having to go to the fire making, but it also gave her opportunity to talk about her hidden moves a little bit. So she was already making her case early for the jury. She said, basically saying, I got a story for you.
Well, I liked seeing
Things
her
you don't
when she
know.
was practicing the fire. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed watching her, and she just kind of melted down, was down on herself, and I can't do this. And then she turned around and said, I am Keturah. I can do this. I can do a lot of things I don't think I can do. And she just built herself right back up.
She did. Yeah.
And I like that. And that really is a great skill to have.
Yep.
It's okay to go there, but, it's great to have a tool to build yourself back up and get you going again.
Austin says that he's good with making fire, would have made fire, but...
Asked to make fire.
But not for me, not an opportunity to get another notch on my belt, so...
And Jake asked to make fire. I think that was good of him. They looked at that and went, great. He wasn't afraid to do it.
Jake tells Probst he's going to make fire and move on. Let's get this thing going.
Yeah. He's going to make fire, burn rope as fast as possible, he said. And he did. All right, Jake versus Keturah. I thought at first, she's got her fire.
Well, she did. She got the spark, got the fire going.
And then immediately
promptly went out. Yeah.
And then she did it a second time. Then she did it a third time.
Yeah, meanwhile, Jake's building his. So he got his, eventually got his going, and then he starts stoking it. And it was quite the blaze at the end, and Jake wins fire making.
He must have pumped himself up, too, because he really went after it and did it.
Yeah, he delivered. And this is why I think it's significant for him, because if Dee had taken him, then he's a no-vote GOAT.
Well,
that's the impression you're going to have. Yeah. But Jake took himself to Final 3 because he made fire.
And he asked for it, not because she sent him. I want it.
I want it, and I did it. And so he's not a GOAT, I don't think, but in my book. What do you think?
No, he took himself.
He got himself there, right?
There.
Yeah.
And I was so hoping he would.
Yeah, you wanted some redemption for poor Jake?
I really did. I felt bad for him, and I really, I didn't think he would win, but I put that I thought he and Keturah would go. Mm-hmm. And I went with that. I thought
that's how your picks were, right? You went
just the opposite. Yeah, you went Keturah, then him. Or no, him and then Keturah. And I was like, that's probably going to happen, but I just can't do it. I so much want for Jake to at least get to the final 3. Yeah, and give him something, because he
pushed that little snowball in right before it melted. He got it across the line.
That's right. So good for him, and I think it will make a big difference in his life for the whole experience that he got that. And so I was very happy for him. I was cheering.
So we got our final 3. We got Jake, Austin, and Dee. Jake's fire is still roaring over there.
I was just going to say that. If you noticed how big that thing
kept
was.
Going, yeah. He had it stoked. Yeah.
He must have had a ton of stuff down there.
I liked what he said, too, is that he wished he could go tell his 15-year-old self, if he could go tell Fat Jake, hey, the best moment in your life's coming. Hang in there.
You're going to get there.
Yeah.
And he thanked Dee for letting him do it, because she didn't have to.
Yep. Keturah got to say a few things, talking about how for her coming out here was all about giving up control and how terrified she was multiple times.
And she doesn't usually lead with her heart.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, she is a lawyer. Ta-da. Which she had to set to the side, she tells us.
Yep.
So this could be part of her healing, learning journey. So she wrapped that up nice.
Well, and I thought Dee must have had not an inkling necessarily that she was an attorney, but that she certainly was a good speaker somehow.
Dee's intuition and Dee's ability to assess people as threats.
Season,
from the beginning. She just seemed, at least what we were given in the edit, she seemed really good at that. So, and she spent time with people so that she could build those relationships and see those things, so she could make the right choices at the right time.
And even And we're just heading into the jury questions. So even during all the jury questions, she was adamant about, reading things right and doing a lot of that on her own.
On her own? I don't know that she accomplished it all on her own. But
No, I'm talking about her intuition.
She built a good network.
That's internal, your intuition.
Sure, but she also had a good network, so those relationships brought her information,
yes,
even when it came secondhand through her key alliance members.
She came in to the game with a strong strategy of, I will get to know every single person. And
we talk about it in every finale. This is it. It is always a social game in the end, unless somehow, when we've yet to see it, unless a group agrees to reward some other element.
And she was intuitive, and she was good in challenges.
So we quickly get to beginning of the day 26 at camp, their last sunrise together, and the boat brings in the fixings for that awesome breakfast. And that gives them an opportunity to talk about the jury, which is, it's kind of that, what was that segment? I always hated it. The Fallen,
yes, yeah,
what was it called?
Fallen Comrades.
Yeah. But so you get to have that because as the final three mention each member of the jury, so they don't do everyone. Yeah. So you get a little bit about their thoughts, the final three's thoughts on that jury member, and then jury member tells some of their thoughts as they head into final tribal council.
Well, it was, some fallen comrades. That was obvious while they were
the jury of
it.
fallen comrades.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So Caleb ends up telling us that he's definitely impressed with Jake, and he has by far had the hardest path there. So no doubt about that, Caleb tells us. And Kelly tells us about how impressive Dee's social game is.
Yeah. I don't know why Jake pointed out Kendra's free spirit, but I guess that's what stood out for him.
Sure. Yeah, that was certainly part of what we got to see. And Kendra, to my surprise, highlights Austin. I was just sure she was a vote for Dee.
Well, we understand it better now that Dee told it that she was attracted to Austin, and that's one reason she wanted to get rid of her.
Kendra tells us that Austin had played a great game, especially given that no one had ever cast a vote for him, and he came in as this big physical threat, and here he is in the final three. That's always impressive when something like that can happen. Bruce tells us he just wants them all to own who they are and
own
explain
your
that.
Game. Don't back away from the things you did. Admit it. Emily had the most growth in the game, they thought.
And was described as a big threat to win. And then she highlights Jake, saying that he was the most lied to. A pawn. Well, a dark horse winner, potentially, though.
Yes, because nobody could get rid of Jake because they all needed his vote, and that he could be a dark horse. And I was thinking, really?
Stuck on the bottom of her shoe.
I was surprised to hear her say that. I thought, oh, wow, well, this may
No
be
surprise
different.
with Drew. He celebrated Austin.
Yeah.
No votes, unscathed.
Austin never got a vote.
Dee tells us she's got two moms now, thanks to Julie. And
That's
Julie
sweet.
says that she found that alliance with Dee, and they made it work. And she was impressed with Dee because Dee risked her game for her.
Yep.
Kendra tells us that she's looking for the strongest evidence of the strongest gameplay.
Austin said Katura's name never came up till the very end of the game.
Mm-hmm. Always on the right side of the vote, he said, right?
Yeah, that kind of surprised me.
Yeah.
I don't think that was highlighted a lot, but she did, kind of flip back and forth. She kind of figured out what was going on and who she wanted to go with.
What did you think with Dee calling Austin out? She said she was going to be unleashing herself. She was not going to be kind tonight. Austin says, yeah, we're in for a brutal night.
Okay, well.
And then Jake got the...
Well, he did come back and say, I'm going to do everything I can to win, too.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's exactly what they should do. And I don't think the jury would respect if they didn't. And I think we'll get to it when it comes up. That's how Dee makes a lot of points. Okay.
Jake tells us they played it safe, but he was always trying to do more with less. That's
he knew
be
how
his,
to get to the
story.
end. He knew how to fight to the bitter end.
Yeah.
I brought me. I never gave up. I fought, and they had it easy. Yeah.
Absolutely. Final Tribal Council, night 26. It's about the social. It's about the strategic. It's about the physical. Prop sets it all up and turns them loose.
And the jury says, fight for your life.
First up, Kendra. She wants them to feel their truth. Make it yours.
That she has an open mind about her vote. I thought, I'm not sure I believe that.
I didn't at the time, but I was definitely wrong with where that was going to go.
Yeah, you totally thought she'd vote D. But
I thought D had a solid 5 female votes on the jury, but they all accounted themselves well, right? For Kendra's request to feel their truth and demonstrate how they made the game their own.
I like kind of how Jake summed it up, talking about there was nothing he wouldn't do to try to get ahead. He knew he cried a lot, and he broke a challenge, and he was sad, but he was sad on Survivor,
Great
so
line.
he's thrilled about it.
Great line.
So all of the fans would really relate to that.
Yeah.
But I got to be sad on Survivor.
Dee emphasized her parents again.
And her loved ones, and that the game forces you to be present.
I liked her recognition, too, that they were making their good old days right now. So this was about making memories and taking it day by day and having fun. And then we learned from Austin that he was an alternate. All of 72 hours of notice before he went in the game. That was cool.
It's like, what? I love seeing the clip of him when they told him.
Yeah.
He just couldn't believe it. And I thought, that is how you would feel. It's
so
like, really?
that ends up influencing how he played the game. Said he just wanted to eat it all up, do it all.
Yep, experience everything he could experience and have fun.
And Kendra seemed...
And fall in love.
Pleased with those answers, saying their passion showed.
Yep, it did.
Katura wanted to know about how they faced their fears. For Austin, that was about the blind sides, worrying about the blowback from the blind sides.
And she wanted to know how they pushed through their fears because, that was her thing, that she had to face her fears out there.
And it was also her undoing.
Yep.
So Dee piggybacked on Austin's answer concerned about the blowback from the blind side.
Yeah. It's hard to vote out people, and he brought up especially the Julie vote. He needed to, and he did.
I like Jake's answer the best. He said his fear was all about failing, but making sure that you were okay with the failing, that you got back up and smiling, you weren't afraid, you kept going. That certainly worked with his theme, didn't it?
Well, and that it helped him not to be afraid.
Drew's question just dropped Jake out of the picture. It had nothing to do with Jake. Maybe he had more than one, because these are only just excerpts that we get from the final tribal council.
Yeah.
But Drew's question that we got to see was around the core 4 Reba players and asking Austin and Dee what they thought they brought to it, which it was a great setup because it got Dee started with an answer, and then that got Austin going with a rebuttal, and then Dee going with a rebuttal, and then Austin with another, and Dee with another.
Well,
and so they were going back and forth. I thought that worked well for them.
It worked out, but I think Drew did it for his own ego, bringing up the final 4 and what did you
4.
do and how are you better than me? Or I thought he was kind of going after.
I don't know that it really hit that way.
I did a lot of the strategizing, but because he'd been, arrogant, I thought that's a lot of what maybe he was asking. But it worked out that they got to,
I like that Dee acknowledged that there's a lot of luck involved for sure, and this is a perfect season, perfect season for seeing that, and it was good to acknowledge that.
And that they'd all shared info. It wasn't just, one person. Drew did share. He talked to a lot of people, and they shared. But, they all did it together, and nobody for a while knew how close they were, I think, because of that. Because they were off individually talking to and working with and communicating with other people.
Austin took advantage of Drew's question to highlight about how his physical contribution allowed them all to get there. So Rebo was winning all those challenges, and he's basically saying, I put folks on my back to get them there. Dee rebutted with, well, she wasn't scared because she had this core alliance, and she had such good connections. And, of course, the tribe swap, actually, she tried to leverage the tribe swap, but that seemed like it worked more in Austin's favor because he had it harder. Dee had a majority after the swap, but Austin didn't. So, and that was where, he ended up he and Drew brought Emily in. Mm-hmm. And then he went after the amulet.
And Dee talks about getting rid of Kendra because she was crushing on my guy.
Yeah, Kendra threatened to take Austin. That was good. Yeah. And Dee's rebuttal, too, was that Austin saying he brought Emily, but Dee said, well, I brought Keturah. And then Dee topped it off. No, not Dee. Austin topped it off with nobody ever wrote my name down in a vote.
And Emily says the heart alone does not win Survivor. Dee talked about, well, her heart and brain were the same.
So tightly coupled, she didn't differentiate.
That's right.
Yeah, she didn't separate them. She was really all about building the relationships.
And that her strategic moves came from her
relationships. Yeah.
I thought she answered that well.
Yeah, well, she had a plan and she executed to it, and it worked.
Yep.
Caleb tried to throw Jake a bone. What did you do?
I thought he was going to vote for her, Jake, after that.
So much fight. What did you do that I couldn't? It kept you in.
How did you get so deep when I couldn't?
Yeah, and so Jake answers that a little bit, and then Drew tries to jump in there and help Jake too. He said you were really held back. You couldn't make big moves, and Jake said, well, that didn't mean I didn't take big swings though, and I like that. Yep. Everything doesn't have to be a success to be to your credit when you look at how you approached and played the game. So I'm glad he did emphasize that.
And he said again, they had it easy.
Yes.
Did you get the question that Kelly asked?
She was asking about the impact of advantages and idols.
Oh, okay. Well, Austin said, well, he used his idol to get someone out. Mm-hmm. And Emily said, yeah, but you let Drew get voted out with your,
the idol in your pocket.
You didn't use your idol for him.
Right.
Lost your alliance. Or his closest alliance. Or his second number one is you cringe about.
Yeah. And Dee ends up saying that she didn't tell Austin when she knew about Drew. And she also took a pot shot at Bruce. That seemed to hurt Bruce.
Yeah, it did.
She did it as a joke, but
she did. You could tell she did.
He shut down when she said that, right? His facial expression.
Whoop.
Yeah.
Shut down. I thought, well, he's beat himself up about that enough. Like, why didn't I just play it?
And Jake talks about how he wanted him to think that he was going to play the idol for himself, and Keturah still wanted to know, why not tell me?
Why wouldn't you tell me you were going to play it?
Jake had an answer. He said, well, I wanted a better reaction from the jury.
Because the truth is that had they all been voting her and she kept with it, then Dee would have gone home.
Yeah.
But he didn't tell her, and it worked out the way it worked out.
Julie wanted to know about the showmance. How did that affect the gameplay? What's going on there? That's where Dee acknowledged that she didn't recognize it right away, right? She didn't know until the swap.
Yep, and she said it was real. It wasn't strategy. They both said that.
Natural attraction.
It wasn't strategy. And
then it became strategic afterwards.
Yeah. And then Emily talked about when she was voted out, and then Julie got voted out. Then's when Dee revealed.
Drops the bomb?
Yes.
On Austin.
Because they're, and we didn't tell. And she's like, well,
because he even said she didn't tell.
I did tell. Yeah. Yes. She corrected it. And when he said it, I wondered if she was going to, and she did.
Yep.
And
I did tell Julie. Okay, so sorry. Needed to blindside Emily. And Emily said.
The women loved that.
Yeah, they did.
Even Emily, she backed off. She was like trying to push something home, but as soon as
Emily locked it in for Dee too, didn't she?
Yes,
I was coming for you next, she tells Dee.
Yeah. She's like, well, that's okay, because I was coming for you next.
Yeah.
So, okay, you got me first. She could respect that. And Jeff tells us it is time to vote. I thought it was so funny when Caleb was going up there and he said, Jake!
Yeah, that was good.
And then he didn't vote for Jake. Oh, well.
Yeah. So the votes are
Fake.
revealed.
He should have yelled fake.
Yeah, we get one for Austin, and we saw that it was both Kendra and Drew had written in Austin's votes when they voted, so we saw those. So we see one for Austin, one for D, one for Austin, one for D, one for D, another for Austin, so they're tied up at 3.
Yeah, so the ones for Austin were Kendra, which now we know why, Drew and Bruce, and Jake got no votes, and D got Emily, Caleb, Katura, Kelly, and Julie. And she wins.
D wins season 45.
Emily said, "You better not spend a dime on that boy."
Yeah, that was good.
Now, Emily, did you buy the house that you and your honey are moving into? But Dee better not spend a dime on him. I'm not sure why she was so adamant with that, but...
All right, we got our winner. What did you think?
I enjoyed it.
You were ecstatic because you got all your picks.
Yeah, but I didn't know that. I didn't realize that at the time at all.
Yeah.
I was happy anyway, and then I had written down our picks because half the time we forget what we... Because I actually did change them. I made picks just to have something in there.
Yep.
And then I went back and thought, well, wait a minute.
I did too.
Trying to
had
make
Austin
me
going
think.
in 5th.
Well, I had Austin at first, and then I thought, but wait a minute. Let's take all the commercials out of it and because the commercial made it look like Julie's the one that had hers balanced. And I thought, but if Julie wins that, she won't go out. And I thought, but now you drink that Kool-Aid every time they throw it out there. And I bet they showed it because she doesn't win it. And so anyway, I ended up switching like her and Austin.
So what are your thoughts? Did you enjoy the finale? What did you think?
I just said I did.
Yeah,
I really did.
Had a good time with it, didn't we?
And then I realized I got full points. And then it was like, oh my gosh, I don't even believe it.
Enjoyed it even more.
I can't remember when that happened.
Yeah.
So, but I'll take it. But
that finale it's what we expected in terms of D, for sure.
Yeah, but I wasn't so
how
sure
they got
along
there,
the way.
Yeah, how they got there, that was interesting. I enjoyed it. I like the 2 challenges were good. The advantage thing is meh. That they need to work on that. That's just kind of a waste of time. It has been every time. There's been someone like Austin, or what was the big guy's name? Anyway, there's been someone that more than evens out the advantage, so that it's like a meaningless advantage.
What was it Austin said when he realized that Dee lied to him? Something about, I guess girls lie better than guys, or
in the after show he said that. Yeah.
Was it the after show when he said that?
Yeah. Speaking of which, Probst tells us that's the closest vote of the new era, 5-3. Kendra, when she gets the question, said that she went into it open-minded. You don't believe her?
No, I'm not sure that I do. And then I couldn't believe how much she was kept hugging Dee, and sitting right there behind Dee and
But she's
Austin,
been that way the whole season, so she's just one of those touchy-feely people.
Well, yeah, so I'm touchy-feely too, but...
I like Jake's response. It's like, I started to wonder who I'm voting for when he saw they tied at 3. He's like, wait a second. I hadn't given any thought to who I would vote for if they tied.
Yeah, if they tied. It's up to him.
Yep.
Oh, wouldn't that have been something?
So
he's thinking, I wish they'd tied.
Probst walks back through some of the highlights. He starts with Emily picking a fight with Bruce right out of the gate. And so she gets to talk about learning life lessons. And she owned it completely. Said she put her foot in her mouth for the first 3 or 4 days. And then got some help and learned some things about herself and got on the right track. Yeah,
they were kind of highlighting the highlights of the season, like Caleb playing his shot in the dark, and it actually worked.
They didn't. You know what I was wanting? I wanted them to cover that it wasn't 12 votes. I wanted that.
I know. I thought about that too. I thought
they let that pass.
I thought Austin would pipe up and say, well, just for the record, I didn't vote. It was really only 11 because I chose not to vote, so
That's when my amulet powered up.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, I think they missed
or
the
full immunity idol
there.
powered up, rather, not the amulet.
I think Austin missed a chance there to throw a little something in there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe he had
said,
already mentioned it when he was answering questions or something.
Oh, yeah. What he said is girls are better at playing guys.
Yes.
It's like,
And then he said it's all good. All good.
And Kendra talks about how she predicted their relationship before she even met Dee.
I don't know if you're predicting it based on what Austin said, or was it, what Austin had said about Dee. So, but anyway, yeah. The quiet intensity of Austin with the firecracker nature of Dee. She saw it as a match.
Yep.
And she did say in her exit interviews that she had picked up on it and had been mentioning it, that they were going to need to do something about that couple. And then she was promptly voted out.
Yeah. And I like that she plans to use the money to help her parents retire.
Yeah, I get the sense that she may not understand how much that is.
How much she's going to be left with after taxes.
Yeah.
Not nearly as much as she thinks.
I'm not sure.
Not
I mean, she'll be able to help, but I don't know.
Not according to Bob and Peggy.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's still going to help. It's still a lot of money. And so.
And she had her Richard Hatch kind of moment, saying that she knew she was going to win when she went out, before she went out there, even wrote to her family to say she was going to be okay. Left them letters when she left to go play, saying that she was going to win it.
She did seem extremely confident about it. She just knew it. But there have been other people who have felt that way too.
Probably everyone headed out there. Yeah.
Yep. Well, and if you don't feel that way, why bother going? So.
Well, not everybody approaches life like that, or
that's true.
Execute a plan. But I'm sure there's been a long line of people who, before the game started, were firm believers that they were going to win it and called their win.
And
I got to say, I don't care for wasting the time with the up next. This is what you'll see when we come back from commercial. That stuff that they did again. Yeah, it's annoying.
Okay, so Kelly doesn't remember, and this doesn't surprise me. She doesn't remember her blind side. She didn't know what she said.
Yeah, we'd already heard that in exit interviews.
Yeah, and that doesn't surprise me because she was really, truly, probably the most shocked person. Bruce was pretty shocked, so was Drew.
Yeah, and Probst walks Bruce back through his embarrassment again. Yeah, and to Bruce's credit, he highlighted how Emily had persuaded him.
That's right, and he was convinced. She convinced him he's safe.
Yep, and then owned the fact that she wanted credit, and she promptly followed him out the door.
She just had to tell people that she did it, and then she followed him right out the next day. So, bye-bye.
Drew gets highlighted for his ability to craft analogies with all his literary knowledge. Tells us that it's his love of history and literature, and he spends a lot of time reading. And
that, he built himself up so much and that he just felt humiliated.
When he got voted out.
Yeah, because he was so overly confident.
Strutting through camp like a king before that tribal council he told him.
Yep.
Yeah, we get to see Austin's alternate story again, his reaction, and how that affected how he approached the game.
And I don't think we knew Tina Weston had been an alternate, did we?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we had heard that before.
I didn't remember it.
Yeah, and Julie shares that she too is a lawyer. All right. And Probst got some feedback on the auction. I love Jake taking us back to the cake moment, getting to have a Cerie-like auction experience.
Yep. Well, and Jake also revealed that he is not a public defender. He's a prosecutor. He lied too.
I love Probst.
They all three lied.
Probst jumped on that and said that. All the lawyers lied. Yeah, that was good.
And they did.
Yep. And we revisit Katura's panic attack. Okay, yep. So that happened, and she pushed through. And Probst put Drew on the spot, so he gives us one more literary reference for encouraging people to apply and come out there and challenge themselves to grow.
Jake is a prosecutor, but I didn't think he had started really working yet much. That he's working for somebody, but I didn't think he'd been an attorney long enough that he's really
not very long, but I think I seem to recall seeing him like in a courtroom in the preseason stuff. So, yeah, okay. Anything else you want to say about the after show?
I don't think so. I think we pretty much covered it.
And we get a quick look at season 46. Did you have any thoughts?
Not really.
Nobody made an impression, huh? I think I was still rolling with this season, so
Yeah.
it almost
It's
was
like, well, I don't know you. I don't know your name. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, okay, and I won't remember.
some characters
So it'll all be new again.
in there.
Though I do wanna go
getting
back
their
and look at it.
buffs before the game starts. It seems like
I don't know. That
they
was
threw
weird.
the one guy his buff, and
Yeah.
you get to see several people with their buffs on, so you see what tribes that they're on as you're getting those little quick confessionals.
Maybe it's something like he was sent out somewhere, or maybe somebody didn't get on the show because something happened.
That looks
or-
very early for him. He
Yeah.
looked very fresh.
Well, that's what I mean. They did a challenge, but one person had to sit out because there weren't equal numbers, and he got a buff of whoever.
I think he thought it was an advantage or an amulet at first. I'm sure I would too.
I don't know. I'm just making up things.
Then
to
it was a buff, yeah. Yeah, no one really stood out. I saw one guy playing an electric guitar, and I thought, oh, there's the Sifu. Because if you watch with the pairs like this, 45 and 46, you'll see some similar archetypes in each season. So you're like, oh, there's the Sifu, or oh, there's the Drew, or there's the Brando, or, those kind of things. So I was just kind of looking at, I've been wondering who's their doppelganger in this season.
Yeah.
But it didn't register a whole lot, so
It
I don't
wasn't
know.
very long. So
No.
I do, and I didn't have time to see everything, but we will eventually go back and rewatch and enjoy it all over again, and we'll look at that more closely.
You have any thoughts on where the season lands for you? Is it overall?
I don't
Good,
do that.
or-
I enjoyed it. Right now, I enjoyed it. Now, earlier I thought, I don't think this is going to be one of my favorite seasons. And it probably still won't be. I think it was at some point slow. But it's Survivor. I enjoy it. That's all I remember normally is whether did I have fun? Did I not? And it's Survivor. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed certain seasons more, but I don't do placings. I really
I like the
I'm not good
significance
at
of
that.
Dee's game and how effective she was with the relationships, and they still struggle to show this, but how significant her social game was. Not that there weren't potentially equals, but those got eliminated along the way.
You know what I really liked about this season is that there were a few people that would hold a grudge, that kind of thing. But for the most part, toward the end of the game especially, they didn't seem to hold on to it as much as some, like, oh, you lied to me, you didn't vote with me, you said, and they're just like, okay, well, moving on.
Yeah, the final tribal council seemed to be a lot of celebration, which was good. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was nice
I thought
to
so too.
have all that positivity, and it was cool that Jake got himself there. He didn't get brought. He wasn't a no-vote goat, at least by my definition.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I think that changed and shifted, and I think he'll be better for it.
yeah. How about a JSFL update?
I can do that. There were 2 people who tied in first place
Oh, wow.
in JSFL.
That happens every once in a while.
Yep, ChuckwagonNH and Dina, I guess it is. They both had 127 points.
Good job.
Yeah, really. Now, I don't have a lot of stats for that, but I did go in and pull out that 31 of JSFL players voted for Austin to win. 152 people voted for Dee to win.
Not surprised.
18 people voted for Jake to win,
I bet you Parker's one of those.
and 23 people voted for Julie, and 15 for Katura.
All right. Yeah.
So it was broken up, but D
Well,
was
that's
the
a big cluster
landslide.
on on D. No surprise there.
Okay, for the side challengers, congratulations to Jeremiah for winning with 108 points.
Yay.
With 89 points, that's the closest to him, was
Goodness,
Rebecca.
that's a big difference.
Yep.
Yep.
88, Drew. 87, Randy.
Drew, strong showing at the end.
83, Lisa Ray. 75, Stacy. 74, Robert. 70, Justin.
Ooh, he got out of the basement.
And 65, Parker.
Oh, he went all in on Jake, and that just messed his order up. That's what I'm guessing. Yep.
All right, so Jeremiah please send us a song choice for by Saturday noon for Parker to perform his song parody of this season. And Parker, that will be due to us by or before the Jabbok Part 2 for season 46.
Which is
and
coming
as
up
I always
shortly.
say, the sooner you do it, the better, so that while the season's still fresh in your mind.
We'll be hitting that in February, so that's not too far away.
That's right.
Really short break this time. Awesome. Well, good job, everybody.
Yeah, it was fun. And,
Anything else?
I don't think so. Just the last show of the season.
Yeah, we are looking forward to hearing what you thought about the finale and the season as a whole. How does it stack up for you relative to the others? So curious on your thoughts, how the finale affects your perception of the whole, and how do you think it'll stand up in the test of time? How does Dee stack up as a winner for you? And do you see her in the pantheon, or are you glad this season's over? I'm sure there's a whole range of reactions.
There
from
always
that
is, because
perspective.
we're all different people.
Yep. The voicemail lines, 206-350-1547, toll free, 844-643-8737. You can record your own audio and send it to us, or you can send it in an email to JoanneandStacyShow@gmail.com. Feedback's due noon Pacific time on Saturday. We ask that you keep it in that 3-minute range so we can get everybody in there. We're really looking forward to hearing your thoughts on this season. Did you have something else?
Yes.
Okay.
You didn't say where you ranked it.
This is not going to be in the top half even remotely for me. This season for me is deeply flawed. So I am impressed with Dee's win. I want to give her all respect for that, and given all she had to navigate. But she had a lot of benefits. Luck, like she herself said, luck was on her side tremendously in this season, and it could have obviously, it could break another way given another set of circumstances. Fortunately for her, Bello came in and self-destructed. They didn't really present much in the way of an opponent in that regard.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
All right. We'll see you back here on Saturday.
Have a good one.